So we're going to teach you 4 different positions on how to do a pelvic tilt. Now, a really important exercise to learn and master because it allows you to move more freely when you're doing your exercises, and it allows you to go to position without compromising your movement patterns. Often we get stuck whether we've got an anterior tilt, which is a lordosis, or a posterior tilt, which is often known as a flat back. In an ideal scenario, we should all have a neutral spine. So I'm going to take you through 4 different positions on how to do these 3 different movements. Number 1, anterior pelvic tilt. Tyler, do that for me. And so what he's done there is he's tilted his pelvis in an anterior or forward motion. And what that does is it allows me to go under his lower back. So my hand can fit well underneath his lower back, and that creates a nice arch to tilt that way forward, okay? Once we've got the anterior tilt, we go the other way. So we squash down. So if my hand was there now, it's been completely squashed, and that's a posterior tilt. And then last of all is neutral, which is the in-between. So if we've got an extreme anterior, extreme posterior, we want to learn to find neutral spine. Once we've got that, we practice 10 of each of those, link in your naming of them. Anterior, got it. Posterior, got it. Neutral, because that's a vital important part of your training on how to perform and sit properly or stand or lie face down to get your body in the right position, always in neutral spine. Once we've got that one, we roll over to all 4s. So 10 of those each way. Now in all 4s, different position, gravity changes. What we want to try and do first of all is have knees under hips, shoulders above your elbows and over your wrists, and we want to go to an anterior pelvic tilt. So let's go down to an anterior pelvic tilt now. Such as that, rightio. We've got that big arch. I'm sure you can all see there. There's the anterior tilt. Now we want to keep the head and shoulders independent here. They're staying normal and stable, but we're just getting this pelvis region moving. Okay, we now go to posterior tilt. So again, we go here, but we try to keep all of this independent, and we get a nice over the other side round or flat as best we can. Then we go to neutral, which is in between. So there's just like a slight little curve, if anything, but it's what's comfortable and neutral. 3rd exercise. So we've now done 2 different exercises. We've done lying on our back. We've done all 4s. We move to another one now, which is the 3rd exercise, and that's opposite elbow to knee. So what we'll do here is let's go elbow to knee and hold there. Your elbow, not your hand. Yep, and we hold there. Now in that position, that's forced him into a posterior tilt. We now go the other way, reach your arm and leg out, and we arch as much as we can in here, and we create an anterior tilt. There is no in-between neutral for this exercise, so we're going to go between the 2. Go back and touch, hold there, 2 seconds, 1, 2, reach out, 1, 2, one more time, hold 1, 2, and reach out 1, 2, and just relax and stay there. So what we've done there is we've created an anterior and posterior movement. We've got our core having to stabilize and work through that. So that's arguably the hardest of these 4 positions. And the other part is we don't find a neutral spine in that position there. It's just the 2 extremes. And lastly, the fact of the matter is that some of us may not be able to get the elbow and the knee to touch because we haven't got strength or flexibility or mobility or enough core strength to do that. So just go towards each other. If you just get a little bit closer and closer and closer as you get better, that's fine. And if you can't do 10, which we want to do 10 in a row each side, just do 2, 3, 4 or 5 and then build it up as you get better. So that's exercise position 3 for the pelvic tilts, and that's in all 4s, but it's opposite elbow to opposite knee. Number 4, stand up for us. For this last one, this is the hardest in terms of movement to do because it's our everyday standing position. But in terms of physically doing it, number 3 was the hardest to execute because of the shaking around and everything, but this is really hard to get the movement pattern right. So if we think of his pelvis is locked in here, an anterior tilt is going to arch here. Let's do it. Now, when he does his anterior tilt, this is what a lot of people do. They try to tilt their whole body back. We want to keep this part normal, but we want the pelvic tilt to move on its own. So we've got that nice arch. I'm sure you can all see there's an anterior tilt. Keeping this all still and head still, do a posterior tilt, tuck it under. Now, we've got all this nice and steady. We've now got a flat back and he's tucked it in there. And now we want to go to neutral and comfortable. Anterior, posterior, neutral. That's 1 rep. Let's do it one more time. Anterior, posterior, and neutral. That's 2 reps. We need 10 of those. All right, you can jump out of here, mate. Well done. So those 4 exercises to repeat. First of all, lying on back, pelvic tilt. Second, was doing it in all fours. Third was in all fours, but doing an opposite elbow to knee. And then the fourth and final one is the standing one. Now, as I said to you from the start, the benefit of this is it keeps us free and we know how to move. It also means if I have you in a position to do a lat pull down and you're automatically in an anterior tilt, I can say to you, take that to neutral. You do that, off we go with better movement pattern. You could be doing a lunge, set yourself up and you're in a big anterior tilt and I say to you, go to neutral. Fix that and off we go. So it's a really important part to move more freely when you're training, but ultimately it helps your posture, helps things move nice and smooth and the way they should. And they're your 4 exercises around pelvic tilts.